What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Fisker. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's really driving it higher today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently it is up 18%. It is starting to pull back slightly. It was up quite a lot. So dramatic sell-off right here. But interestingly enough, there has been no news, no SEC filings to justify this uptrend. And so I'm going to once again talk on the data points behind the scenes. This did come out a couple days back, which is somewhat optimistic for the operation, at least for them to get in money. So it does look like they were slashing prices. And so essentially this is their last ditch effort, a fire sale. Clearly they weren't really able to get any financing anywhere else. So they do have to rely on this. So for instance, on the Sport, they cut 14,000 off, Ultra 18,000, and Extreme 24,000. So no doubtably a lot of people that did buy it at the regular price probably would be quite upset, but then again, this is kind of an interesting scenario. I don't think anyone anticipated Fisker to go to where it did this fast. But beside the point, aside from this news, there has been a lot of negative articles coming out, one of which was this that came out today, saying that Fisker lost millions of dollars in customer payments and had to do an internal audit. And so ultimately this did happen late 2023, but beside the point, you're seeing a lot of stuff now behind the scenes, whereas a typical investor might not see, and it shows that the operation was just in complete shambles, that nobody really knew what they were talking about. And I'm going to play this video near the tail end, coming from a, I guess, Fisker employee standpoint. So it talks on, I guess, a lot of the reviews and everything else. So this guy definitely did a very good job of compiling all this. But like I said, that doesn't really answer the question, why is it up today? And so ultimately, it was on the threshold list going into their whole delisting. So shorts were somewhat overextended. Of course, some people might disagree with me on that, but right now, you do see 31.25 million shares being returned. Utilization is 89.5, so shorts are still very much in Fisker, and I think a lot of them are betting that bankruptcy is right around the corner, but no doubtably, like I said, 31.25 million shares are being returned. So if you factor in that 125.7 million shares overall are being traded today, a lot of that is shorts. So again, that's kind of what is giving it a nice boost up. And interestingly enough, it does show this really abnormal spike to just shy of about 28 cents. And that was about 100 or about 200,000 shares. So again, what prompted this? I'm not really sure, but definitely very interesting that there is some buyers behind the scenes. But then again, when it comes down to the broader market, there's a lot of swing traders that kind of just get in for a couple cents or a couple percentage points. And with these kind of strike prices as kind of wide as they are, this is where you can easily make some pretty good money. So this is, again, a lot of the volume as well. So a lot of interesting stuff coming from Fisker. It'd be really nice if the CEO came out and just addressed kind of the current circumstances of where they're at. And I have had some comments on previous videos just asking some general questions. Are there options? Answer is no. No options, no options under OTC. If you previously did hold options under FSR, then essentially you'll still be able to hold them. So I think they're still keeping them valid up until their expiry date. You essentially could sell them to your market maker, your broker, but you can't buy anymore. So looks like options going forward is done. But then again, that's something I've already stated. And another person did ask, are they still going to do the shareholder meeting and a potential reverse stock split? And in my opinion, this one is kind of up for debate. Essentially, they could. They definitely could do a reverse stock split, of course, dependent on shareholders approving it, anywhere from a 1 to 10 to a 1 to 50. Only because if they ever want to go back to the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, they need a higher market cap. Unless they get there naturally, but I think it's easier just to do a reverse stock split and then reapply, for instance, or apply to go to the NASDAQ. So in my opinion, yes, I think that they're still going to go through with a shareholder meeting to get all of that approved. Plus the second point is very beneficial to them. So I'll give you a quick overview of that. So the second point was the increase in the authorized shares shares. So ultimately that is increasing it from 2 to 4 billion. So especially any company under the OTC, you need liquidity. So they are going to be heavily reliant on this. So issuing of shares to keep them afloat. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind overall if you are thinking about making a long-term investment right now. Which, even though Fisker is up quite a lot today, I would personally still advise against, but then again, what do I know? I'm not a financial advisor. So ultimately, those were some of the hot questions that people did have, if they're still going to be doing the reverse stock split. And also, I guess, the whole shareholder meeting altogether, and is their options. So hopefully that answered some of your questions. If you guys do have further questions, let me know in the comments below. I can definitely address that in future videos. But like I said, I just wanted to quickly play this. This guy did a very good job. I never actually heard of him before. So Adam's Everything EV. And so I'll have a link to his video in the description below. But like I said, I just wanted to quickly play this because a lot of very interesting things that were said behind the scenes.
Happened and what's going on? That's what we need to find out today, and I'm just gonna read stuff. Come along, will ya? Ex-employee here, I was always so confused how so many people and the investor subreddit disregarded the Glassdoor reviews. 99% were always spot on, and the only 5-star reviews were from marketing and HR.
That was shocking as hell when I listened to that. Marketing and HR giving reviews on themselves just to skew things. That is messed up.
Go to Glassdoor. Fisker is a public company, but it's run by a husband and wife team who have controlling interest in the stock. They run it as if it were a family-owned landscaping business. They meddle with and control everything. SVPs, VPs, directors, HR are all spineless submissives who cater to the whims of the Fiskers.
And so I'm bringing this up because I found a lot of this interesting, maybe not this exact comment, but throughout the video, there is a lot of interesting stuff. Again, you have to take a lot of this with a grain of salt, because if there's a disgruntled employee, they want to kind of bash Fisker, they're going to go on a lot of these forums and give negative reviews. So usually, like, happy employees don't go out and give a good review. That's not what typically happens. So again, just take that with a grain of salt about this.
Current state of the company is a direct result of this. Interest rates have nothing to do with the dysfunctional management. The Fiskers have also hired their relatives and placed them in director-level positions. It's hard to tell who is one of them. They don't all have the same last names. At least.
So if there's going to be an investigation, it would be about that, possibly.
At least 4 people. CEO and CFO are in no position to be in an executive role. CFO routinely disrespects her employees and yells as if she is our mother. Nepotism is status quo. We are technical experts. We are hired for our expertise and our input, but the company never took that advice and instead continue to run their company into the ground intentionally. Top-down toxicity. Growing pains are typical for a startup. This was pathological. Too much win, not enough succeed. Lack of qualified executive leadership. Overall, it's giving Titanic vibes. Avoid at all costs. The company is floundering and is being mismanaged into the grave. I could go on for at least 4+ pages, but I'll keep it brief. Stay away. Advice to management: burn it to the ground. I would say start over. But in this case, just give up. Horrible upper management communication. You will learn more about what is going on within the company from the news than you will from your manager, director, or VP. Having 18+ people reporting to the CFO, who is also the COO, is unrealistic, unsustainable, and deeply ineffective. 80% of my time was on Zoom meetings, even though, quote, everyone is required to work 4 days in the office, end quote.
See, that last comment, that kind of shows that it's just a disgruntled employee. Them having to work at the office isn't that big of a deal. Like, whatever. Incompetent
upper management. There is a clear lack of understanding the basics of business operations, and those lower on the totem pole are blamed for upper management's mistakes. The CFO publicly berated those in another department for following compliance and attempting to reduce company liability because she felt it was restricting how quickly cars could be sold. Those in leadership are scared of the CFO and will quickly tear down others to get their team, quote, ahead, end quote. And that was Glassdoor. This is from a Reddit AMA, which means Ask Me Anything, where an employee took questions. A colleague of mine and I both have a hunch that the Ocean's key is poorly encrypted, therefore a Flipper Zero or similar pen testing tool could be used to duplicate the signals, and possibly write it to a card or wristband. I highly recommend someone out there try it under legal and good intentions. We can program up to 3 keys per vehicle before a special tool and engineering support is required, and we cannot remove the one that is broken. That 1 out of 3 spot is forever gone. And yes, that is absurd. Fisker Inc. will never offer you an NFC card. Sorry. 2.0 deployment has been extremely chaotic, and the strategy for sending it out has changed on a nearly daily basis. From sleep-wake cycle issues causing the 12-volt to tank, hang-ups on various modules cause different issues, usually also dead 12-volt, connectivity problems, bootloader problems, mismatched Frankenstein software modules, the list goes on and on. That being said, you will receive 2.0 eventually. My guess is we'll have all North America customers delivered on 2.0 in the next 60 days. If you are able to talk to a technician, ask them to request a push from the OTA team and give them your VIN. It's easy for us to ask, and although it might not always work, couldn't hurt. What is currently being communicated internally to employees? Are people still working as normal, or is everything on hold?
Okay, so I'm just going to skip this because I wanted to get to more the assembly. So this is one thing I started to hear about rumors, Fisker. That's before I started to really cover them or anything, but this is a very interesting part.
Ruin the ocean's basic concept? No, the opposite. Magna proposed a package to build an EV under contract that used their manufacturing techniques and technologies. It was to be a halo car for everything they could offer in the industry. It was a match made in heaven, but Fisker started cherry-picking at the deal until it had a hodgepodge of Magna components and bottom-of-the-barrel stuff that Fisker sourced from the lowest bidder. For example, Magna's deal included their cutting-edge security and entry system. I believe Kia EVs use Magna-engineered entry systems now, or maybe GM. But anyways, they work great. Fisker's is a facsimile of that. A mousetrap that fits in the same rectangular void in the sheet metal, adding insult to injury by having Magna bolt them on the cars, of course. All the news is new and everything is breaking, but I just want you guys to have a grasp on what I can see.
So yeah, there you have it. So kind of a lot of stuff coming out behind the scenes. It was a very dysfunctional business, but again, there still might be some value there. This is why it is going up 21.95%. So give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying Fisker? Did you sell? What have you done? I've heard not quite a few, but a few people, I guess their brokers haven't actually gotten the new shares yet. So are you one of those individuals that don't have the ability to sell Fisker, or what's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So make sure you take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.